What's up everyone, we're going to be going through the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 17 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 17 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which will be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $6,000 just yesterday. Another member who won $100 for the 4th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, the link will be in the description. So go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group. And I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. All right, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is Tyus Jones for 3-pointers, and this one is for 1.5 3-pointers, and this one is for less. Now look at Tyus Jones. We've actually seen him go in the under in 4 out of the last 5 games, which is fantastic to see, and they do face off against none other than the Detroit Pistons. Now we look at the Detroit Pistons. We do see that when it comes to 3 points made allowed, they actually do rank, surprisingly 25th, and then on top of that, moving on into 3-point attempts allowed, we see that Detroit Pistons rank 13th. So a little bit mid to low tier. However, the reason why we do like the under for this situation here is that when it comes to Detroit Pistons, we do actually see them rank very high when it comes to restricting 3-point attempts and also 3 points made to the other team to the guard position. So they do a really good job against guards, and especially someone like Tyus Jones, who doesn't have that high of the usage rate for this Phoenix Suns team. We definitely see him going on the under here. Now, his average over the last 5 is 1.4. He had a game against Atlanta where he did see a little bit of an increase in his usage rate where he had 4 threes. But now I think this has brought this line a little bit too high, that now there's a lot more value actually to go on the under here. When it comes to Tyus Jones as well, what we also do see is that when it comes to this matchup against Detroit, we are also expecting in this game as well to be a little bit more on the slower pace. Both Detroit and Phoenix aren't really the fastest paced teams out there. They are decent when it comes to pace, but on top of anything else, what we really do like is that when we look at what the bookies are saying, the bookies also have him favored for the under as well, so that works out in our favor. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out for Tyus Jones. So Tyus Jones, 1.5 3 points made for less, I think is a great pick. So getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than Malik Beasley. So Malik Beasley, as we all know, does play for the Detroit Pistons, and this one is a combo for points and assists combined for 18.5, and this one actually is for less. Now look at Malik Beasley. We've actually seen him go in the under in 1 out of the last 5 games, and they do face off against none other than the Phoenix Suns. Now we look at the Phoenix Suns. They have had a pretty disappointing season so far, and they rank 19th when it comes to points allowed, and moving on into assists allowed, they do rank 20th. However, the reason why we still like the under for this situation is that Phoenix Suns actually do a really good job at restricting points and assists to the guard position. So we definitely see someone like Malik Beasley going on the under in this situation here. When we look at Malik as well, a big reason why we do very much like this pick is that when it comes to, the matchup, like we mentioned before, it is going to be a slow-paced game, but his average over the last 5, it is 19.4, but on top of that, they were against a lot more easier teams, especially to his position. Now that he faces off against Phoenix, we could see a different outcome coming into this game. Like I always mentioned, matchups, that's what's most important, and with a matchup like this, where Phoenix do a really good job, especially against guards, and for someone like Malik Beasley, who doesn't really have that high of a usage rate in both of these departments, we definitely see him going on the under here. And we see other players from Detroit maybe take a lot more of the usage rate from Malik coming into this game. He is coming off a game against Indiana where he did only have 3 points and assists, so you may see, something similar, maybe not that low, but definitely more on the lower side coming into this matchup. And for that reason, we definitely like the under for this one. So Malik Beasley, 18.5 points and assists for less, I think is a great pick. Now, getting into the next one, guys, there isn't too many games, so far when it comes to, this today. However, another great pick that we do like is still from the Phoenix and Detroit game, and this is actually for Tobias Harris. So You know, when we look at Tobias Harris, we really do like the 13.5 points, and this one actually is for less. So like I mentioned before, guys, you know, we have been talking about this Phoenix and Detroit game. We just see a lot of value in this matchup, and like I mentioned, there isn't a lot of NBA games, so we want to, you know, be able to take advantage of most of them. But Tobias Harris has gone on the under in 4 out of the last 5 games. They do face off against Phoenix. Like we mentioned before, when it comes to Phoenix Suns, we see that they rank 19th. However, a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation is that Phoenix actually do a really good job, especially against Tobias Harris's position. However, on top of that, the big reason for this is that Tobias Harris just doesn't have that high of a usage rate. We definitely have seen a decrease over the last 5 games, which we have seen, and we think that will continue on into this next game, no doubt about it. Like we mentioned with the other 2 picks, I think pace is super important, and especially coming into this game where we aren't expecting that big of amount of a pace, we definitely see him going on the under here. So his average over the last 5 is 12 as well, so significantly below this line as well. So when we look at what the bookies are saying, the bookies also have him favored for the under as well, so we are going to be following with what they are saying there. So for that reason, Tobias Harris 13.5 points for less I think is a great pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines, so here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Anthony Edwards. So Anthony Edwards has been doing great so far for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he has been averaging 25.9 points, 5.7 rebounds, 4.2 assists, while also shooting 44.1% from the field. So he's done a great job for none other than the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Minnesota Timberwolves do have themselves a very exciting matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, Cleveland Cavaliers do rank 13th when it comes to points allowed. On top of that, moving on into assists allowed, we see that they rank 11th, and then rebounds allowed, the Cleveland Cavaliers do actually rank pretty well as they rank 12th. So very good, almost hitting the top 10 in all 3 categories, but just shy of it. But I do believe when it comes to Cleveland Cavaliers, they are a great defensive team, and we definitely see them putting a lot of defensive pressure on Anthony Edwards, which is why we do like the under for this situation here. When we come to see that Minnesota Timberwolves haven't really had the greatest season so far, they have been able to pick it back up. They do still have a winning record, but I definitely still see them struggling against a team like Cleveland, who are not only a great defensive team, but also really focus in on stars and put a lot of defensive pressure on them. So we are expecting Cleveland Cavaliers to put a lot of defensive pressure on Anthony Edwards, since he is the star of this team. And when it comes to the pace of this matchup, both Minnesota and Cleveland are both pretty slow-paced teams, so we aren't expecting a lot of pace from both of these guys, or both of these teams in that sense. So for that reason, we definitely like the under for this situation here. We may see AE not get the same amount of volume that he usually sees, and for that reason, we are definitely sticking to the under for this one. So definitely keep an eye out for Anthony Edwards. I see a lot of value there to go on the under, especially when it comes to his line. So keep an eye out for the line first. If it is too close to his averages, definitely look to go on the under, as I see a lot of value there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Pascal Siakam. So, Pascal Siakam has been playing great for Indiana Pacers. Now, Indiana Pacers and also Pascal Siakam have been doing pretty well. They have a 23-19 record. Now, he has been averaging 20.1 points, 7.3 rebounds, and also 3.4 assists, while also shooting 52.3% from the field. So, he's done a fantastic job for none other than the Indiana Pacers, and the Indiana Pacers do have themselves a great match against the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, when we look at the Philadelphia 76ers, it is going to be a very exciting matchup, but when we look at 76ers, we see that they rank 11th when it comes to points allowed. On top of that, moving on into assists allowed, we see that the 76ers do rank 18th, and then rebounds allowed, we see that they rank 13th as well. So pretty mid-tier in all 3 categories. However, the reason why we do like the over for this situation here is that when it comes to Pascal Siakam, he is a power forward, and 76ers actually do a really poor job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the power forward position. Now, when it comes to Pascal Siakam's usage rate out there, it definitely has been very high as of lately. You know, we just have seen him put together some great games. Most recent game against Detroit, he had 26 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, so pretty much almost all over on his averages. But when it comes to Pascal Siakam, I think with a matchup like 76ers, who do really struggle, especially against the power forward position, we see Pascal being able to take advantage of this and exploiting it. Now, I would definitely focus in a lot more on points and rebounds. However, I definitely see Pascal still having the capability to go over in all three categories. Due to the fact that he does have a decent usage rate in all three, he probably has the lowest in assists, so that's why, I would definitely focus in on points and rebounds. But like I said, it definitely comes down to the line. If the line looks good, then there's definitely still a lot of value there. But keep an eye out for his line first. If it is under his averages, definitely look to go in the over, so I'll see a lot of value there. Now, getting to the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than Buddy Hield from the Golden State Warriors. Now, Buddy Hield does play for the Warriors, and he has been doing great, averaging 12.5 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 1.6 assists, while also shooting 41.9% from the field. So, he's been putting on quite an absolute show, and they do face off against the Washington Wizards, who rank 30th in points allowed, 27th in assists allowed, and 30th in rebounds allowed. So, this one's kind of a no-brainer to us. They face off against Washington Wizards, who pretty much rank, last in all three categories. And when it comes to Buddy Hield, we see him exploiting this and going on the over. Now, I would definitely focus in a lot more on points. Buddy Hield doesn't really have that high of a usage rate in the rebounds and assists. Yes, he does get a couple here and there, but it's definitely not the way he plays basketball or the way his style of play for this Warriors team. He's definitely there to be a catch and shoot player and to shoot his shot, shoot that three ball very well, and that's why we definitely see Buddy Hield going over on his points category. Now, Washington Wizards also do allow a lot of three-point attempts and 3 points made, and when we look even closer, we also do see that Buddy Hield, a lot of his shooting does come from the 3-point line. So we definitely see that being a big thing coming into this game, as he does have a high usage rate in those departments. So he shouldn't really struggle too much being able to, get points on the board. So for that reason, I would definitely keep an eye out for the over for someone like Buddy Hield. But like I mentioned, keep an eye out for the points line specifically. And also, when we look at what the pace of this game we are expected to see, we should see a lot of pace, which should lead to a lot more volume from Buddy Hield. So he should be able to go over on just sheer volume allowed. So, definitely keep an eye out for his points line. If it is under his averages, definitely look to go in the over.